स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतार वरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतङ्गमय। ओम शांति शांति शांति। Let us offer our salutations to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, the Supreme God incarnate. Let us pray to Him to lead us from the unreal to the real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. Today's topic I have chosen from the Gospel: self-effort necessary to recognize divine grace. So both play very important role in everyone's life. So self-effort is really very important and essential to recognize divine grace. So both are equally important in one's life. Grace stands for divine mercy and karma for divine justice. It is sometimes believed that the theories of karma and divine grace are opposed to each other. Followers of the path of devotion traditionally hold grace supreme. Avatars, incarnations, are the tangible manifestations of that grace. Buddhists, Jains and Gyanis stress the inexorable law of karma. Both theories have been subjected to the criticism of being fatalistic or deterministic, leaving no room for self-effort or free will. So a careful examination will reveal that, really speaking, these two theories are complementary, and that both theories admit the necessity of self-effort for spiritual progress. The idea of grace is supreme with the devotees. The Lord being the supreme, even a leaf doesn't move without His will. So all the enjoyments and sufferings in life are ultimately traced to the divine will. As for spiritual life, again, nothing happens without God's grace. Human birth, the desire for liberation, the grace of great souls, all these are due to the Lord's grace. Shankaracharya says in the Vivekananda, Durlabham trayamevaitat devanugrah hetukam manushyatvam mumukshutvam mahapurusha samshrayaha. The devotional schools believe that devotion doesn't grow without the grace of God or other devotees. The Upanishads say that He is attainable by those whom He chooses. The only spiritual practice necessary is to choose the Lord, says great Acharya Vallabha. In Sri Vaishnavism, two schools of devotees arose on this issue. One school supported the idea of self-effort, The other school said that even that shows egoism and advocated complete self-surrender. They give examples of a baby monkey and a kitten. The monkey clings to its mother, but the kitten merely surrenders itself to its mother's protection. Sri Ramakrishna says in the Gospel that the boy who holds his father's hand while walking along the ridges may fall down, but the boy who is in the lap of his father doesn't have that problem. Grace according to devotional schools is unconditional. The Lord is self-willed. He is like a 5-year-old boy, as Sri Ramakrishna said, who gives his valuable cloth playfully or whimsically even to a stranger. Grace in its very nature cannot be conditional, because in that case, why should we call it grace? The merit or demerit of a person is not important. Mercy is the only factor. Even the great Vedantic teachers recognize the importance of grace. The uncompromising Avadhuta Gita says that the desire for realizing oneness arises in the mind of man because of God's grace. Ishvaranugrahadeva pumsam advaita vasana. A special problem in all theistic schools is the question of the ego. Recognition of free will and self-effort may boost the idea of ego. It is well recognized that an infilling of God is possible only when we exhaust ourselves of our ego. So lessening the ego and eradicating it is a special effort of the devotees. Not I, but thou, O Lord, as Sri Ramakrishna says. Many religious disciplines, rigorous disciplines, are often enjoined on spiritual aspirants to lessen their ego. Moreover, no effort, really speaking, is necessary, because Sri Krishna has promised in the Gita that he brings and protects what is necessary for a devotee. In Advaita Vedanta also this idea is accepted in another way. The Advaitins believe that our karma phal will bring us whatever we need. We need not make any conscious effort. Our real nature is free from egoism, and so we must disidentify ourselves and let the body and mind work. We remain as a witness. Sri Ramakrishna harmonizes these ideas when he says that we are to give up our unripe ego, which consists of egotism, pride, etc., but we may retain our ripe ego, that I am this Atman, or I am the child of the Lord, or I am the servant of the Lord. The ego of a child or the servant I is not injurious to spiritual realization, Sri Ramakrishna says in the Gospel. Self-surrender is a special corollary of the idea of grace. If everything happens through the will of God, the only thing we can do is to attune our will to the Lord's, or surrender our will to Him. So self-surrender is really a stage in spiritual development. Love cannot be forced, and unless spontaneous love and devotion have grown, complete self-surrender is not possible. Intense faith and conviction are necessary for it. However, self-surrender as a spiritual discipline can be adopted for day-to-day practice. Lord Krishna says in the Gita, think of me and fight. Ma manusmara yudhyacha. Fighting is self-effort in ordinary life. But spiritual practice, thinking of the Lord and surrender, will lessen the anxiety and worry accompanying work. The theory of karma is held supreme by different schools. Karma is looked upon as a law by the Buddhists, a doctrine by the theists, and a theory by the Vedantists. The main idea, verified by our daily experience, is that Every cause produces an effect, and every effect must have a cause. If somebody manifests devotion and spiritual tendencies, it must be because of previous good karma. In life, there are many discrepancies in enjoyment and suffering, and in other respects. This inequality in life needs for explanation the theory of karma. Three major theories have been mooted for explaining this inequality. Academic philosophers like Kant said, this inequality is in the nature of things, which of course is not a satisfying answer to the individual in distress. Why should he be chosen to be the sufferer? Others who believe in one birth and the creation theory had to put it on God's will. This also is not satisfying a position, for then God becomes partial and whimsical. The third answer was given by the theory of karma, held by all the religious schools originating in India. It is more satisfying in that it is much more scientific to search for the cause in the thing itself. There is less hypothesis and less external agency involved in this explanation. So this inequality has to be traced to previous births. This is how we can sustain the idea of divine justice. Otherwise, it is uncomfortable to see a good man suffer and a bad one prosper. The different religious systems look upon karma in different ways. Buddhism in general believes in the inexorability of karma. Jainism believes that karma can be lessened by austerity. Vedanta believes that jnana burns away all karmas except prarabdha, which has already started to bear fruit. Even then, it is argued that jnana means knowing oneself as the Atman and not as a body and a mind. And since all the effects of karma are on the body and the mind, a jnani really does not suffer. It can be looked at another way also. When faith or conviction develops, the impact of suffering becomes less because of the change of attitude. The major idea that gives support to the theory of karma and self-effort is the idea of free will. Does a man have free will or not? If he doesn't, he shouldn't be punished for his wrong actions. If he does, then only can he be held responsible for his actions. This idea sometimes has been expressed as a conflict between free will and predetermination. According to the theory of predetermination, everything has been decided by God or by universal law from one's very birth. In that case, all spiritual efforts and social and individual efforts are useless, for they cannot change the course of events. But it is our daily experience that to a great extent we can change the course of our own life or the life of a nation. With the daily proof of the operation of free will, it is naturally difficult to accept the idea of predetermination. The theory of karma is not predetermination or fate or kismet. It says that our life is a result of previous karma, which was produced by our own free will. Though the framework is given, we can change ourselves and our circumstances to a great extent by self-efforts exercised by free will. Of course, in our day-to-day experience we find that free will also has a limit. There are various factors, many unknown and unknowable, involved in the success of an endeavor. Out of several factors, the individual is only one of them, as the Gita points out. The idea of self-effort is supported by the theory of karma. As karma produces an effect, self-effort can change the course of our life. So in spiritual life also, to drive off indolence, lethargy, etc., a man must make effort. Animals do not enter into the mouth of a sleeping lion. Is a famous saying. Nahi suptasya simhasya pravishanti mukhe. Mrugaha. Another adage holds that wealth and luck are attained by lion-like men of great endeavor. Udyoginam purusha simham upaiti lakshmi. Despite karma theory's cut and dried model of causality, An element of uncertainty remains regarding ultimate realization. The devotee says that God is a giver. His grace alone can give it. In the Bhagavad Gita it is recognized that realization of the Atman comes in time. Kalena Atmani Vindati. Sri Ramakrishna explains this idea of the time factor. He gave the example of woodcutters cutting down a huge tree. When they have almost come to the end, they withdraw, and for some time nothing happens. Then suddenly, without any seeming effort, the huge tree crashes down. So, the final stages of ultimate realization have to be left in the hands of God. But as long as we have the idea of free will and ego, we must make effort. So far, we have seen the exclusive claims of the followers of grace and karma or self-effort. The problem arises that if karma is inexorable, as the Buddhists maintain, then spiritual practices and calling on God become useless because they cannot change the effect of past karma. The Vedantic position is not so extreme, however. If God can change the course of our life, then the inexorability of karma is nullified. So it is clear that from the purely intellectual standpoint, formulating rigid laws cannot give us a satisfactory solution. The devotees may say that even the desire and capacity for spiritual practice come from the grace of God. Supporters of karma can say that even this desire comes because of previous karma. As Sri Ramakrishna says, even a child must shriek to bring the mother. The devotees believe that if they think of the Lord will shower special blessings. The idea of the chosen people is similar to this. The problem is, if the Lord prefers some people, even if they supplicate, then he becomes partial. The even-sightedness of the divine is thereby compromised. In reply, Sri Ramakrishna said, the breeze of the Lord's grace is always blowing, but you must unfurl your sails to get the benefit of the breeze. The most satisfactory working solution will have to fall somewhere between the extremes of karma theory and grace. Holy Mother Sri Sharda Devi gave a beautiful illustration. If a man were destined to lose his leg because of his past karma, he will escape with only a scratch by calling on the Lord. As Sri Ramakrishna said, there is free will in man, but it has a limit. A cow is tied to a post with a rope 20 yards long. The cow is free within 20 yards, but not beyond that. Similarly, a man is not absolutely free. He is controlled either by his karma or by God. By self-effort, he can greatly change the course of his life or accelerate his spiritual progress, as can be done in a film. Karma, in the form of spiritual practices and meaningful experiences, is an aspect of grace. And grace may be seen as a manifestation of previous karma. Sri Ramakrishna says, if you take 10 steps towards mother, mother takes 100 steps towards you. So, some effort has to be made to make the mother know that we are no more satisfied with our dolls, but are anxious to have her alone. And then she in her grace comes to us. Surrender means accepting everything without complaint. But real surrender is to oust the ego so that God can enter in. That is, to give up the wrong identification with the body and senses and think, I am the spirit, the Atman, Nitya Shuddha Buddha, Chidananda Rupaha, Shivoham, Shivoham. I am the pure self, neither this body nor this mind. None of this. I am pure Atman, ever existent, eternal, changeless, limitless, infinite. Western science speak of and endure much physical austerity, but in fact, such efforts make one more body conscious. Our ideal is to forget the body altogether. Sri Ramakrishna got his mind merged in Mother. and forgot his body consciousness entirely. There are very good, splendidly virtuous people in the world. But that doesn't mean that they are thereby linked with the spirit. They don't know that they are the Atman. As Swami Chidananda Maharaj said, you want goody men, but we want liberation to go beyond good and bad. Swami Vivekananda said, you want heaven, but I want mukti. Somebody said, the world spares nobody. It takes its toll mercilessly. The sufferings are there. I am really the Atman, but this grand dream of the universe goes on. One has to get out of it. I often think of two birds. Swami Chidananda Maharaj says, I often think of two birds, each in a cage. One bird is trying to make the cage as comfortable as possible by trying to gather all the amenities of life there, while the other bird doesn't like that comfortable life and it tries to get out of the cage and be free. One day, being depressed, Vaikuntha Babu, the disciple of Holy Mother, she went to see Mother at Udbodhan in Bag Bazaar. He bowed to her and said, Mother, I am here to tell you something. What's that? Come up, tell me. He said, when will you bestow your grace on this unfortunate child of yours? Mother said, child, remember the Master, meaning Sri Ramakrishna. He will certainly bless you. Keep holy company and do your spiritual practices. Everything will be done. Everything will be done if the Master is remembered. These are words of Holy Mother. Devotee said, I have tried, Mother, but nothing has happened. As I have not seen the Master, how can I remember him? I have received your blessings. Now that you are saying thus, you yourself kindly tell the Master for the sake of this unfortunate child of yours. He wants proxy. Mother said, how can you achieve the goal without practicing japa and meditation? One must practice these disciplines. That is self-effort. One must. Devotee said, I don't feel like doing japa, etc. anymore, for nothing whatsoever is of any avail. Desire, anger, delusion still hold sway over my mind exactly as they did before. The impurities of my mind have not decreased yet. Holy Mother said, child, the repetition of the name of God will gradually remove impurities. How can you expect results without such disciplines? Don't be foolish in neglecting them. Whenever you find time, repeat the holy name of God. Pray to Sri Ramakrishna. Devotee said, no, Mother, I don't have that capacity. Whenever I try to repeat the name, I find my mind agitated. Either you make my mind concentrated on God so that no evil thought assails me, or you should take back the holy name. I don't want to be a cause of suffering to you. For I have heard that spiritual preceptor suffers if his disciples do not repeat the sacred name. Holy Mother said, well, what is this? My worries about you have made me restless. Holy Mother said further, Sri Ramakrishna has blessed you already. These words brought tears to the mother's eyes. With great feeling she said, well, you will not have to repeat the mantra anymore. This implied that she herself would do whatever was necessary on my behalf. That is, on the devotee's behalf. The devotee, but I failed to grasp the import of her words. and fear and apprehension gripped me. The devotee is telling Vaikuntha Babu. Thinking that my connections with mother were going to be snapped, I passionately said, Mother, are you snatching away everything that I possessed? What shall I do now? Well, Mother, am I now doomed to annihilation? On hearing these words, Sri Sharda Devi emphatically said, What? You being my child, can you be doomed? Those who have come here, those who are my children, have already achieved liberation. Even God can do no harm to my children. Well, Mother, what should I do now? He asked. Mother said, Take refuge in me and keep quiet. And always remember that there is behind all of you one who in time will lead you to that abode of eternity. Devotee said, Mother, so long as I am here, I feel happy. No worldly thought disturbs me. But as soon as I return home, various bad thoughts haunt me. I again get mixed up with unholy companions and commit evil deeds. However hard I try, I can't get rid of bad thoughts. Holy Mother said, all this is owing to the impressions left by your previous births. Can anyone possibly get rid of them in a trice? Live in holy company. Try to be pure, and everything will be achieved gradually. Pray to the Master. I am with you. Know that you have already achieved liberation in this very birth. Mother is telling, why do you fear? In time he will do everything for you. So, she is telling again, one must experience the result of prarabdha karma, no doubt. No one can escape it, but japa, or repetition of God's name, minimizes its intensity. It is like the case of a man who is destined to lose his leg, but instead suffers only from the prick of a thorn in his foot. So, we should not give room for idleness at all. You have to struggle. You have to apply detergent to clean the cloth. The stronger the stain, the stronger the detergent should be used. So, there is no point in simply crying or weeping or getting frustrated about things happening against our wishes. Frustration is not the answer. Frustration leads to depression. Depression ruins a person. So that's not the solution at all. On the other hand, you must be more and more vigorous, more and more determined to undergo spiritual disciplines. You must willingly try to do spiritual practices. God is the eternal witness. He sees the moment He sees sincerity in your effort. You will be blessed with very good results by God's grace. You will recognize God's grace only through self-effort, not simply sitting idle. Not simply sitting idle. Suppose you get some kind of vision. You may feel it's all dream. You may not believe them. So, you will be confused. So it's very important, as all the Mahatmas have said, You must really be constantly associated with the holy company. You must be constantly try to be in the holy atmosphere, and consciously you must avoid anything that disturbs or distracts your mind. You must completely disconnect yourself with such activities. In fact, those things come to test you. If you succumb to those external factors, that means you are weak. You need to be strong. So they work in a spiritual purpose. The sufferings come, adverse situations come, just to strengthen you, to get rid of your weaknesses in whatever way they are existing in your heart. So the more the difficulties come, the more strong should be your love and devotion to God. So you must inculcate faith in the instructions of the Guru and then practice them wholeheartedly. Then surely you will recognize divine grace. So self-effort is not futile. In fact, human birth is given as a chance to do self-effort, to realize truth, to realize God. That's the purpose of human life, not simply indulging in all these useless enjoyments and pleasures of the world and get lost, get buried in them. They're burying actually. They know they are not good. Still they can't help. People see every day dying. Every minute people are dying. Still the person thinks himself that he will live. Death snatches away everyone. So it must open your wisdom. You must develop that intellectual insight. Wisdom. That is a spiritual quality. Wisdom comes only through sincerity, honest attempts, and faith in the Guru's words and God's name. So let us try to practice and do our best. Leave the result to God. That's the way. The doctor took M in his carriage, page 888. He had to see a few patients on the way to Champeko. They continued their conversation in the carriage. Dr. Sakkar referred to Mahima Chakravarti's pride. M said, he visits the master even if he has a little pride. It will not last long. If one only sits in the master's presence a while, one's pride crumbles to pieces. It is because the master himself is totally free from egotism. Pride cannot exist in the presence of humility. A celebrated man like Pandit Ishwarchandra Vidyasagar showed great modesty and humility in the master's presence. The Paramahamsa visited his house. It was 9 o'clock in the evening when the master took his leave. Vidyasagar came all the way from the library to the gate of his compound to see him off. He himself carried the light to show the way. As the master's carriage started off, Vidyasagar stood there with folded hands. Doctor said, well, what does Vidyasagar think of him? Yam said, that day he showed the master great respect. But when I talked with him later, I found that he did not much care for what the Vaishnavas call emotion or ecstasy. He shares your views on such things. Doctor said, neither do I care very much for any such display of emotion as folding one's hands or touching others' feet with one's head. To me, the head is the same as the feet. But if a man thinks differently of the feet, let him do whatever he likes. Yam said, we know that you do not care for a display of feelings. Perhaps you remember that the Master now and then refers to you as a deep soul. He said to you yesterday that when an elephant plunges into a small pool, it makes a big splash. But when it goes into a big lake, you see hardly a ripple. The elephant of emotion cannot produce any effect at all in a deep soul. The Master says that you are a deep soul. Doctor said, I don't deserve the compliment. After all, what is bhava? It is only a feeling. There are other aspects of feeling, such as bhakti. When it runs to excess, some can surpass it, some can suppress it, and some cannot. Yam said, divine ecstasy may or may not be explainable, but sir, it cannot be denied that ecstasy or love of God is a unique thing. I have seen in your library Stebbing's book on Darwinism. According to Stebbing, the human mind is wonderful, whether it be the result of evolution or of special creation. It gives a beautiful illustration from the theory of light. Light is wonderful, whether you know the wave theory of light or not. Doctor said, yes. Have you noticed further that Stebbing accepts both Darwin and God? The conversation again turned to Sri Ramakrishna. Doctor said, I find that he is a worshipper of the goddess Kali. Yam said, but with him, the meaning of Kali is different. What the Vedas call the supreme Brahman, he calls Kali. What the Muslims call Allah and the Christians call God, he calls Kali. He does not see many gods, he sees only one God. What the Brahmagyanis of olden times called Brahman, what the yogis call Atman, and the Bhaktas call the Bhagavan, he calls Kali. In Sri Ramakrishna one finds all the attitudes and ideals of religion. That's why people of all sects and creeds enjoy peace and blessedness in his presence. Who can fathom his feeling and tell us the depth of his inner experience? Let us stop here. Any question, Andri Devi? No question? Chant the name of the Lord and his glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean, and quench that mighty forest fire, worldly lust raging furiously within. O name streamed down in moonlight on this lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself. O self drowned deep in the waves of his bliss, tasting his nectar at every step, bathing in his name, that bought for very souls. Various are thy names, O Lord, in each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy, how huge then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass. Be patient and forbearing like a tree. Take no honor to thyself, give honor to all. Chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue, the playthings of lust or the light toys of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is thy servant, O sweet one. In thy mercy, consider him as dust beneath thy feet. How I long for the day when an instant's separation from the O Lord will be as 1,000 years, when my heart burns away there is desire, and the world without thee is a heartless void. Prostrated at thy feet let me be, in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O thou who stillest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt. For thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere. May all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous reign tranquility, may the tranquil be free from bonds, may the freed make others free. Make good bad all people, may the sovereign righteous rule the earth, may all beings ever attain what is good, may the worlds be prosperous and happy. May the clouds pour rain in time, may the earth be blessed with crops, may all countries be freed from calamity, may holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works, be satisfied. For he being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased, he being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.